In one take. I'm gonna post a little update video for those of you that have kind of been following along and are aware of what's been going on. This should I hope answer most of the questions that I've been asked. I'm gonna pretty much start at the beginning and go all the way through till today. If you are not aware of what's been going on, buckle up. So let's see. There we go. Thursday, December 27th, 2018, approximately 7:30 p.m. I was training with some buddies down at the academy, down at Fabio's, and I died for about 8 minutes. My heart went into ventricular fibrillation, which is kind of there's all kinds of stuff that can go on when you have a cardiac event. And you see in the movies, the drug overdose, they boom, shot of adrenaline into the heart, or if you watch your medical shows, push another round of epi. So there's certain things that happen to your heart that, drugs can fix. There's other things where if your heart just stops and they start compressions, it can restart it and give it a proper rhythm. So, compressions can bring it back. Ventricular fibrillation, so for those of you that don't know a lot about the heart, you've got 4 chambers. You've got 2 smaller chambers on top, the atria, and you've got 2 larger chambers on the bottom, the ventricles, that do a lot of most of the pumping. And instead of getting that nice smooth pumping, when it goes into fibrillation, it just starts doing this. So it's not circulating blood throughout the body. The scary thing about VFib is that there is no drug that will bring it back into a normal rhythm. You can do compressions for as long as you want. It will never come back into a normal rhythm. So the only thing that fixes it is a defibrillator, the electric shock. So I was sitting in class, and this is secondhand now because I don't remember any of this, but apparently I was rolling with my buddy Angelo, and I was in his guard, and he said that I kind of sat up, and then I put my head down on his chest and started snoring, and he thought I was joking because it was the end of class. We were all tired. He kind of thought I was joking. He didn't realize that was my last breath leaving my body. So he kind of rolled me off of him, and he's like, "Hey, come on, Murph, let's go." Murph, hey, and he's like, "Hey, guys, something's wrong with Murph." Luckily for me, I've been saying it to everybody since, I was in the right place at the right time with the right people. 2 of the guys that were rolling next to us were Jesus, who was an ex-EMT, and Quinn, who was an ex-Navy SEAL. They both shot over apparently and just, went to work. Okay, I got no pulse. Okay, starting compressions. And after that, we had 2 guys on the phone to 911. We had another guy on the phone to my wife. They sent another guy out front to wait for the ambulance when it got there. And Quinn and Jesus started compressions. I was also told that everybody else in the class lined up behind him. And said, "Let us know when you get tired." So they're doing compressions, and I'm never coming back unless I get the shock. But they absolutely saved my life. They absolutely kept the oxygenated blood moving throughout, going to my brain. So approximately 6 to 8 minutes later, the EMTs show up. She kind of gets everybody away, and one of my buddies said she was like an angel spreading her wings, that little paper blanket or whatever with the electrodes, boom, down on my chest, and she hooks everything up, turns on her machine, says, "He's in VFib, charging 200, clear." Boom, 1 shock, and I was back. That's all it took. And then apparently, I was kind of sitting there going, it's okay, guys, no more needles. I died. It's all right. It's okay. I'm okay with it. No more needles. Somebody just take care of Kelly and the kids. And they're trying to get a line in me, apparently. And I started to get a bit combative, and another one of my buddies told me, because I thought you were going to choke out the EMT, which is probably not a good idea to do to the young woman that just saved your life. So they got me settled down, onto the gurney, into the ambulance. I head out. This is where I woke up. This is the first thing I remember, was waking up in the ambulance. And I'm kind of sitting there, and I kind of go, whoa. And they all go, whoa. Like, Mr. Murphy, how you feeling? I'm like, I'm a little tired, and the first thought going through my head is, did these jackasses call an ambulance because I got tired at class? I'm like, no way, and one of the EMTs is asking me, do you know what happened? And I'm like, maybe I passed out. And he's like, you did a lot more than pass out. But we got you now. You're okay. Just sit back, relax. We're going to take care of you. So I'm like, okay. I laid back. I went to sleep again. Next thing I know, I woke up in the ER at Mercy, Scripps Mercy up in Hillcrest. And I kind of wake up, and there's doctors and nurses and tubes and needles and all kinds of stuff. And again, I kind of wake up, and I'm all like, whoa. And everybody again is like, whoa. Mr. Murphy, how you doing? I'm like going, still a little tired. And they go, yeah, okay. Well, good to see you're awake. I later learned that there was an intubation kit right next to me that they were about to open that they didn't have to use because I was awake and talking. So they're kind of doing their thing, and this is kind of when the doctor came in and told me, he's like, do you know what happened to you? And I'm like, I think maybe I passed out. And he's like, well, actually, Mr. Murphy, you were dead for about 8 minutes. And I'm like, whoa. And this is when he told me about VFib and how the only thing that brings it back is the shock. And, so I asked him, I go, if I was at home in bed, and he goes, yeah, you're dead. Your heart doesn't come back from VFib. It's just one of those things. I'm like, oh, all right. He goes, but, you're lucky. Don't worry about it. We got you. I'm like, okay. And so, my nurse is coming in. My nurse is calling Kelly and stuff, and going back. And I happen to be parked right in front of the nurse's station. And I see my nurse go over there, and one of his buddies comes over. And, and I can hear the conversation, but he's like, dude, that's my Rosk right in there. What? That guy? Yeah. Yeah. No way. Yeah. He's in there telling jokes and stuff. And now I can see other nurses kind of coming over and looking, and they're all kind of like peeking in and stuff. And so, I can see the little crowd and stuff. So I'm kind of like, hi, and they all kind of scatter. It's kind of funny. So my nurse comes back in, and I'm all like, okay, so what's a Rosk? And he's all like, what is it? And he kind of had to think about it for a second. And he's all like, I think it's resumption of spontaneous circulation. So we all enjoy spontaneous circulation. If your spontaneous circulation stops, you die. If they can resume your spontaneous circulation, they have brought you back. So I was the Rosk telling jokes. Anyway. So let's see. From there, they tried to get me into the ICU, but they didn't have a room, so they sent me to the SICU, the surgical ICU. After, 6 hours, 8 hours, I have no idea. This whole hospital stay, the next 10 days just is one big chunk of hospitals. So they sent me up to the SICU, and this is where I get my hot nurse sponge bath fantasy taken care of. His name was Eddie. But in all seriousness, Eddie was a phenomenal nurse. He was relieved by, I think her name was Nashona, another phenomenal nurse. So I've had great care, for the next day or so. Then they moved me up into a room at Scripps. This is a little nightmare portion of my stay. They brought a roommate in with me who I had multiple healthcare officials later tell me I should have never had a roommate after what I went through. In case something happened, they needed to get to me, stuff like that. And it was a small room. I had we had a curtain between our beds, but his machines are pushing through my curtain, my machines are pushing through his side, and people had to move stuff around to get, in and out of the room. But the worst part was this guy had an IV alarm that kept going off about every 15 minutes, all night long. And he was on a CPAP machine. He was knocked out. He was asleep. He didn't hear any of it. So I got no sleep. On top of that, I'm dealing with cracked sternum, broken ribs, bruised cartilage due to CPR, which, by the way, is exactly what they're supposed to do when you receive CPR. I was told numerous times I received very effective CPR. Because you think about it, this is your armor. This is here to protect your lungs and your heart. They got to get through that armor to compress the heart when they're doing CPR. Still, breathing with cracked sternum and broken ribs and everything is, you only get these really shallow breaths, and it hurts. So there was pain, there was no breathing, there was no sleeping. I had this guy's alarm go off. Up until this point, this was the worst night of my life. And I say up until this point because this story's not over. So I was there for another day or two or whatever, but I have Kaiser. So Kaiser is on the phone with Sharp, and they're Sharp's going, well, we want to do these tests, and Kaiser is saying, okay, we'll do those tests, but we'll do these ones when we get them over here. And so they're kind of going back and forth and trying to find transport and a room for me at Kaiser. So, I don't know, another day or so, I finally get word that I'm getting transported to Kaiser. So they come pick me up, and I head over to what I am now calling the Tajma Hospital, which is the new Kaiser facility on the 15 in the Claremont. Any of you Kaiser people out there, I know that there's Claremont in the 805, which has got some buildings there, but the new one over by the 15 and the Claremont is unbelievable. I had a 70-inch in-wall TV. It was bowl season. I think this is like December 30th now or something. I'm watching bowl games. I can order my food on the TV. They've got movies. I hadn't seen Avengers Infinity War. Pop that bad boy on there. Their new medications are popping up going, they're going to bring you this medication if you'd like to know what it is and what it does. Watch this little video, I'm like, no, there's a bowl game on. Also had two incredible nurses there, Lauren and Aaron. And this was the first, I understand it was the holidays and people and, getting a repeatable nursing staff is probably difficult in the best circumstances, but I had Aaron, who relieved Lauren, who then relieved Aaron, who then relieved Lauren. So I had these two nurses that were phenomenal while I was at Kaiser. And up until this point, nobody knows what's going on with my heart, because I had kind of put it down to something electrical, like I had low potassium, dehydration, the physical exertion of that night, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of what a lot of the doctors thought, because they did an echocardiogram, an ultrasound of my heart to check all the muscles, and they came back and said, there's no damage to your heart muscle's fine. My ejection fraction, which is the amount of blood that you expel on each beat, was at 67% after the event, and they say the average is 55 to 75. So I was a tick above the mean after the event. So, all the indications are, the doctors are telling me, man, your heart kind of looks good. we got to go figure this out. And that's what I was kind of leaning towards, because I didn't want it to be a blockage, right? Because if you have blockages in your heart, you have to admit to being a fat ass. So I finally had a cardiologist come in and tell me, no, you want to be a fat ass in this case. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, if we go in there and we find a blockage, we can fix it. If we find narrowings, we can put in stents, we can do all this other stuff. We can fix it, and you're out of here, and you're good to go, and problem solved. If we go in there and we do not find a blockage, you could be in and out of the hospital for the next couple weeks, couple months. We don't know, because we don't know what happened to your heart. It could be something electrical. They're talking about subcutaneous defibrillators, pacemakers, all these vests I got to go home with and stuff. So now I'm sitting here kind of going, yay, fat ass. And this is also where I had, so since I woke up in the ER at Scripps a few days ago, everybody's told me how good I look. The fact that I'm awake, that I'm talking, that, just all the progress, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like going, okay, great. And it was kind of at the Kaiser, I had one of the cardiologists come and visit me, and I can see him kind of coming, and he opens the door, and he's got the file or whatever, and he kind of looks up, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, kind of looks back, and he looks at the name tag. He's like, Mr. Murphy? And I'm like, yeah, what's up, doc? And he's like, whoa, well, I gotta say, you look really good, Mr. Murphy. And I go, that's what they keep telling me. And he goes, no, I don't think you understand. I've had patients that have been down half as long as you, and at this point, we're still waiting for them to wake up. So the fact that you're up and talking is amazing. And I'm like, well, that's kind of what I do, doc. I talk, and I'm amazing. So he was the one that also informed me that I wanted to be the fat ass. I didn't want the electrical problems. So they do all kinds of tests there, and then they tell me that the next step is to get the angiogram, which is where they shoot the dye into your heart and they check for blockages. And he tells me that they don't have a cath lab at that Kaiser, but they have this reciprocal agreement with Scripps Memorial in La Jolla. So that's where I'll be sent, and if there's any procedures that need to be done after there, it'll be done there. So I get to go from the Taj Mahal Hospital to one of the best cardiac facilities in the country. So again, lucky me. I head over, and so the next day I go over to Scripps. They put me under, they do the angio, and they found like 3 narrowings and a blockage. They did find a blockage, which kind of surprised them. But my surgeon comes in now and he goes, we're going to schedule you for bypass surgery. And I'm like going, okay. And he goes, you're going to get anywhere from 3 to 5 bypasses. I was like, whoa. And so spoiler alert, I had quadruple bypass heart surgery. But I'll tell you the same thing that he told me. He goes, ignore that number. Don't worry about that number. Because I only had 1 blockage. But I had 3 narrowings. If I didn't have the blockage, they would have gone in and put stents in the narrowings. Okay? But because they were already going in for the bypass, they were gonna split me open and get in there. The stents are kind of like fixing potholes in the freeway. Okay? If they're gonna go in, if they're gonna shut down the freeway anyway, they're not just fixing the potholes. They're repaving the whole damn freeway. So they bypassed the blockage and they bypassed the 3 narrowings. They don't bother with stents at that point because they're already in there. So it ends up being quadruple bypass surgery, but I have all new freeways. So surgery was successful, but I will say that night of the surgery did end up being the worst night of my life. And they told me beforehand, a lot of people, the fact that I was so young for this to happen was going to lead to speedier recovery, but it was also going to hurt more because most people that have this are 70, 80 years old. My skin is thicker, my muscle fibers are thicker, my bone is thicker, everything is in better shape. So it takes more to get through everything, and it takes more for all of it to heal. And not only this, I still have the broken ribs. I still have the bruised cartilage. So I come out of it, and again, I can't really breathe. Now I've got chest tubes, all the other stuff, and that was one miserable night. But, they saved my life, so kind of goes with the territory. After that, I was in their ICU for a couple of days. I had another great nurse. Her name was Kate. Her last name may have been Upton. This woman was stunning. And there was Kate, and then she got relieved by somebody, and Kate relieved her, and then and then Kate relieved her. So Kate was kind of the one steady nurse that I had while I was in the ICU. couple days in the ICU. I think it was 3 days in the ICU. I was there an extra day from what I remember, trying to get my lungs expanded. When you do heart surgery, your lungs kind of completely deflate, and kind of an odd thing even when you go to sleep and you exhale and you think you have no air in your lungs, you've still got your alveoli are all still there. You got these little micro bubbles, and it's surrounded by liquid, that keeps the bubbles intact. When you go into heart surgery, they empty your lungs and all those bubbles pop. So your lungs actually deflate completely. And it takes a lot of work to get air back down in there until the liquid can surround the bubbles or the alveoli or whatever, and your lungs slowly expand. So needed a little lung work, was doing some respiratory exercises and stuff. A couple of days, then they got me a room, sent me back up, and I remember the one nurse I had up there that was awesome was Candy, and older nurse that kind of said, okay, here's all the checks you need to do. You got to go to the bathroom on your own, shower on your own, you got to get up and walk around on your own, you got to do all these other things. So I kind of knew what I needed to do, and I think this is like a Friday, and I was shooting for a Sunday release, and they kept telling me, no, you're here till at least Tuesday. But because I had all those check boxes, I was checking all the boxes and stuff, we kind of split the difference. They let me out that Monday, which was the 7th or so. So I was about 10, 11 days in the hospital, and then I got to come home. So now I'm just sitting here trying to heal up. I've got different timelines for different things. Like they initially told me 8 weeks until I could go back to work, 4 to 6 weeks until I could drive, because they want you off the pain meds and they want your breastbone healed. Still need to sleep on my back. I can't put my hands above my head. Just lots of other crazy stuff. But just sitting at home now, and people have asked, if we're taking visitors. I'm like, door's always open, man. Drop me a line, make sure we're awake or that we're here. But I got a fridge full of beer, and I'm not drinking much of it anytime soon. So if anybody has any other questions or whatnot, drop me a line. Send me a note. Give me a call. I'm just sitting here trying to get better. It's all kind of pain management now, which I'm kind of off the pain meds for the most part. Just waiting for the sternum to heal until I can get back to doing normal stuff. They said 3 months for me to be back on the mat, so it was going to take 3 months. Some people have been asking me that. But other than that, I think that's it. Got any other questions, give me a buzz. Drop me a line. See you guys later.